Vara established the earth, Narsimha undid unrighteousness, and on the back of Kurm, the world witnessed the churning of the nectar. Up to episode 2, we have seen how Vishnu managed creation, but after every great beginning, a grand reset is necessary. Namaskar, I am your narrator Gaurav, and you are watching the Puranic Files. When the world grew old, how did a small boat save all of humanity? And the Vedas? When an Asur king conquered everything from heaven to earth, how did a small Brahmachari measure the entire universe in just 3 steps? This is just not a story of gods and demons. It is a tale of cycle of power. In episode 3, we will dive into the Great Flood and the role of Matsya Avatar and see how King Bali's golden age came to an end at the hands of a boy who looked like a child but whose footsteps held the entire world. Let's learn more about the Matsya Avatar of Lord Vishnu. Chapter 1, Matsya Avatar. According to Purans, this was the end of the Satyug. Creation was heading toward a great destructive Mahapralay, a great deluge. The water level was rising everywhere, and the day of Lord Brahma was coming to a close. A greater crisis emerged when a demon named Hayagriva stole the ultimate knowledge of creation, the 4 Vedas, and hid them in the depths of the ocean. Without the Vedas, the beginning of next Yuga was impossible. The entire earth was on the verge of drowning in an endless, dark ocean. Amidst this destruction, the wise king Satyavrat, whom we know as King Manu, remained on earth. One day, while Manu was offering tarpan in the Kirtimala river, a small golden fish came into his hand. It said, "Rajan, protect me." Manu placed it in a pot. It grew larger than the pot itself. He moved it to a larger vessel. It grew even larger. When he released it into the ocean, it encompassed the entire sea. Manu realized that this was no ordinary creature, but the sustainer of the universe himself. Lord Matsya ordered Manu, "The deluge will arrive on the 7th day. Prepare a massive ship and board it with all the Shaptarishis, sacred herbs, and the seeds of all living beings." On the 7th day, it happened. The heavens broke and the earth was submerged. Manu's ship was adrift amidst the storm. That is when Lord Matsya appeared. Manu tied the ship to Matsya's horn using the cosmic serpent Vasuki. Throughout the deluge, Lord Matsya guided the ship through the wrath of waves towards the next Yuga. During this journey, the Lord went into the depths of ocean, killed the demon Hayagriva, retrieved the Vedas, and returned them to Brahmaji. When the flood waters calmed, life began again. In the new age, this was Lord Vishnu's blueprint, where he safely transferred both knowledge and civilization. However, while the earth was being reestablished, a new challenge was rising, and Vishnu had to incarnate once again. Chapter 2, Vamana Avatar. Time passed by. Manu re-established the earth and poured everything into giving life to this planet. But the balance of creation was still unstable. A new power was rising, one that would challenge Indra and the gods themselves. His name was Mahabali. Bali's journey was not on an overnight event, it was a long preparation. Since the time of Samudra Manthan, Mahabali had led the Asurs of Patal Lok, while Lord Vishnu was busy in other reincarnations establishing Dharma. Bali strengthened and expanded his empire in Patal Lok. By the end of Satyug, King Bali and his supreme guru Shukracharya began their march towards the earthly realm. Under the guidance of Shukracharya, Bali took a vow to perform a yajna that would make him the Tribhuvan Samrat, meaning the ruler of all three worlds. He conquered heaven, forced Indra to flee to earth, and was now performing a yajna that would make his reign permanent. The gods were terrified and fled to Lord Vishnu. Just then, a small radiant boy appeared on earth, Vaman, an innocent Brahmachari carrying an umbrella and a water pot. Then, when this boy reached Mahabali's yajna hall, the very atmosphere changed. Shukracharya immediately recognized that this was no ordinary boy, but Lord Narayan himself. He warned Bali, but Bali's generosity was greater than his caution. Bali smiled and asked, "Boy, what do you want? Gold, wealth, or a kingdom?" Vaman said in a calm voice, "Rajan, I only want 3 paces of land off my feet." Shukracharya shouted, "Bali, don't do this." But Bali was firm in his vow. As soon as Bali agreed, Vaman's form began to change. He grew from a small boy to such a massive scale that in one step he covered the earth, and in the second, the entire cosmos. All 3 worlds were under his feet. Bali had nothing left to give. He bowed his head and said, "Lord, place the 3rd step on my head." Seeing the surrender, Lord Vishnu was deeply moved. He reinstated Bali as the king of Patal Lok and granted him the boon of being a Chiranjeevi. The story of King Bali is incredible. Being the grandson of supreme devotee Prahlad, he was born into the Asura lineage, and yet he gave away his entire empire and even himself just to keep his word. According to Purans, he is still immortal today. It is described in the Kalki Puran that when the Kalki Yuga ends and Lord Kalki arrives, this same King Bali, along with the other Chiranjeevis, will serve as a guide to Lord Kalki and protect this earth. The vow of Bali, the surrender to Vishnu, and the story of a king who still sits on the throne of Patal. But have you ever thought about the Lord did when the balance of dharma was tilted again and kings forgot their limits? In the next episode, we will meet a warrior whose axe's resonance alone made the greatest emperors tremble. He was born as a Brahmin, but circumstances made him the destroyer of Kshatriyas. Selfless charity and your words are the mirror of your character. The Lord values these even more than rigorous penance, having granted an even greater boon to a Rakshas because of them. Then why are we humans not willing to do the same? Until next time, Narayan Narayan.